What's up, y'all? It's Ty back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we're going to be talking about how it might be Mickey Mouse. No doubt about it. The Boston Celtics have kind of had a Mickey Mouse run to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I want to make one thing clear. They don't owe anyone an apology. Because if you look at their road, first thing I want to mention is they did a lot during the regular season to get the #1 seed. So I don't want to hear anybody make excuses about the Miami Heat, the Jimmy Butler injury, the Terry Rozier being out. I don't want to hear any of those excuses, because the first thing I will say is, for as much as Jimmy and other people say the regular season does not matter, well, when you're the #1 seed, you don't have to play the play-in games. You don't have to risk injury in those types of games. The Boston Celtics worked very hard to get that #1 seed and set themselves up for an easier first-round opponent. And looking back at the games, none of the games versus the Heat were really close. I know they dropped one game at home, but I mean, looking at the average point differential, I mean, they won most of the games by 20 points. I mean, the last game they won by what, 30 points? I mean, the Boston Celtics breezed their way through the first round. Whether the Miami Heat had Jimmy Butler, whether they had Terry Rozier, quite honestly, would not have changed the outcome. And on that same train of thought, they didn't even have Kristaps Porzingis for the whole series. Kristaps got hurt. Nobody's making excuses for the Boston Celtics. Now, the next round opponent for the Boston Celtics would be either the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Orlando Magic. To be honest with you guys, a fully healthy Cavs team is going to be better than a fully healthy Magic team. Within that, though, obviously the Cavs have had a ton of injuries. Jarrett Allen out the entirety of the series, but let's not make things more difficult than they have to be, guys. Even with Jarrett Allen in the picture, when you're losing by 20, 30 points, that's not going to change a whole lot. Obviously, during the middle of the series, Donovan Mitchell goes down, and from there on out, the series is basically over. But name me a time in the NBA playoffs where injuries have not played a factor. They play a factor. And the Celtics are dealing with a big-time injury themselves. Kristaps Porzingis was out the entirety of that series as well, but nobody wants to seem to talk about that. People would rather hype up the Jarrett Allen injury, but yet Kristaps Porzingis, who's better, Jarrett Allen or KP? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. But let's be honest with ourselves. Both of those injuries mattered. Both played an impact on the series. And even before the Donovan Mitchell injury, the Celtics were breezing their way through that series. Sure, a couple of games were close here and there, but I don't think the Cavs really challenged them at all anyways. Now, injuries aside, let's be honest. Fully healthy Heat team. Is that maybe a tough first-round opponent? Maybe. But I'm going to be honest, the Miami Heat this year were not that good. They weren't. And I know they leveled up in the playoffs, and they've been this, they've been that. But the Miami Heat during the course of this season this year just didn't look that good. I think a fully healthy Heat team, the Celtics still win in 5. You look at their second-round opponent, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Same thing. They're an okay team, but don't sit here and act like they would have a chance anyways. Look at the whole Eastern Conference. Who is going to beat them? The Bucks? They're injured. We'll get to them in a second, with the next round being the Pacers. I mean, you got the Cavs, you got the Magic, you got the Heat. There's nobody in that Eastern Conference that is to the level of the Boston Celtics. I'm tired of hearing all these excuses. Oh, it's Mickey Mouse. Oh, they've gotten so blessed. Sure, they've had an easy road and injuries have played a part of it. But let's make one thing clear. The Boston Celtics are the best team in the NBA. I'm not going to sit here and say they're for sure going to win the NBA championship. But to say that they've gotten blessed with injuries and that the bracket was set up perfectly for them, it's just not true. The Boston Celtics were the best team in the regular season, and they have breezed their way to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm a Timberwolves fan. And even when people, after the Timberwolves' first 6 games of the playoffs, were crowning the Timberwolves saying that they should be the favorites to win the NBA Finals, I'm over here saying, are we sure? Boston is by far and away the best, most talented team in the league. And look at their point differential during the playoffs. Look at their net rating. Looking forward, they're playing the Indiana Pacers. Now, look, I think the Indiana Pacers are an Eastern Conference Finals level of team? No. Benedict Mathurin is out for the season, and I know that you guys can make, they're not fully healthy. Okay, they're not maybe fully healthy, but for where they're at in the season, they're in pretty good standing health-wise. You got Tyrese Halliburton backed up by TJMcConnell. You got all these role players, Andrew Nembhard. You got Aaron Nesmith. A lot of guys that can just play their role, gritty defensive players. In the middle, they got Miles Turner, Pascal. They traded for Pascal Siakam. Makes the team a whole lot better. If Boston breezes through the Indiana Pacers, which I personally believe they will, I think the series goes 5 games max. I think it's less about the Pacers than it is about the Boston Celtics. Now I get it. Indiana, how did they get there? They beat a Milwaukee Bucks team that was without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Dame was out some of that series. They were banged up, no doubt about it. Then they play the New York Knicks, who the Knicks got by the 76ers because Joel Embiid wasn't healthy in his own right. But don't discredit what the Indiana Pacers did in Game 7 especially, going on the road in Madison Square Garden and just beating the brakes off of the Knicks is crazy. And I know Jalen Brunson got hurt, but it wasn't until the third quarter and the Pacers were up 15 to 20 points anyways. And I know the Knicks were without Mitchell Robinson. He got hurt. OG got hurt. They didn't have Julius Randle. I get it. The list of injuries go on and on. But I think we need to start giving credit to the Indiana Pacers. Even the fully healthy Bucks in the regular season. People want to hype them up. To me, Boston would have breezed through the Bucks this year. The Bucks were not near as complete, not nearly as good. I know a great team when I see it, and the Boston Celtics this season are great. Now, yes, when there is pressure on the Boston Celtics, will they rise to the occasion? I guess that's really the only test we've got left. They've proved that they've got the most talent. They've proved that they got the most depth. They've proved that they are the best team in the NBA. The only thing left to see is when they get tested. Let's say they go down 2-1 games against the Indiana Pacers. How do they show up in Game 4? Let's say they match the Timberwolves and the Timberwolves go up 2-1 in the NBA Finals. How do they respond? That's what I'm waiting to see from the Boston Celtics. And look, I'm not a Celtics fan. To be honest with you guys, I don't even like the Celtics. I want the Pacers to beat the Celtics. I like seeing underdogs win. But I'm so sick and tired of people trying to discredit the way Boston's doing things. It's not Boston's fault that the East is weak. It's not Boston's fault that they worked hard to get the 1 seed and Jimmy got hurt. It's not Boston's fault that they matched a Cavs team that was banged up heading into the second round. That's not the Boston Celtics' fault. To be honest with you guys, I think the Western Conference would have had 4 or 5 teams that would have breezed to the NBA Finals if they were in the East. The Denver Nuggets in the East would have breezed to the NBA Finals. Timberwolves would have breezed to the NBA Finals. I'd say the Mavs and Thunder as well would have breezed their way to the NBA Finals if those teams all would have replaced Boston in the East. That for me is going to wrap it up for our video today, guys. I am just so sick and tired of NBA media, all these media members trying to discredit the best team in the league. They're the best team in the league. They've got the most talent, and if they show up in the way they should be the NBA champions. It's way less about their road that they don't owe anyone an apology for. One of their best players literally has been hurt for most of the playoffs. What are we talking about here? They deserve respect. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.